Hello there and welcome back to Golden Financial Services and our advice series. This is Todd Boldazar checking in with Golden Financial Services founder Paul Paquin. How are you, Paul?
Doing well. How are you today, Todd?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, so Paul, I wanted to chat about student loans. The giant monster of an ever-growing issue that affects so many different areas of the United States economy. You've got the housing market, you've got mortgages, parenthood, all these different things, even retirement, that kind of depend on an overall look at the U.S. finances and how the government's being run, right? I know that you're kind of a little bit of an expert in this area, so I wanted to ask you some questions that might be beneficial for your audience in terms of applying for student loans, how to make payments, what happens if you fall behind, and so on. Can I pick your brain for a few minutes today?
Absolutely. I'd love to help out here.
Awesome. Okay. So the first question I have for you, if you have student loan debt and you can't afford payments, you're considering a lot of options. There's debt consolidation, there's refinancing, there's taking out, equity on a credit line to pay off a loan. But you just don't know where to start. Should you consolidate? And if so, what is the right time for consolidation? Let's put it that way.
When it comes to federal student loan debt, this is one of the few types of debts where the government actually stepped in, and there are government programs available. So if you have federal student loan debt, you definitely want to utilize the government assistance. Now, the government didn't do a very good job here with explaining how these programs work. And that's why, if you look at statistics, 99% of students that applied for student loan forgiveness in 2019 were rejected. So that's 99% of students were rejected for the student loan forgiveness that they were expecting to receive. And that's due to the fact that the government didn't make it easy. They didn't provide clear instructions.
Wow.
The universities and the colleges all across the nation, they neglected to provide education on this subject. So to answer your question, yeah, you want to first go to studentloans.gov, and you can consolidate your student loans at studentloans.gov. That's what you want to do. And then once you consolidate, then you can get on an income-driven repayment plan. So you can consolidate right there at studentloans.gov, and then based on your income and your family size, you can select an affordable monthly payment.
So it's funny that you mentioned that government watchdog report. Let's talk about that a little bit. I've read that report, and it says that 99% of over 54,000 people that completed requests for a federal student loan forgiveness program were actually denied. That number to me is just like crazy. I can't even imagine what do you do if you're rejected for student loans. So I guess my question for you is, what are these people doing? What are some common pitfalls that can get your public service loan rejected?
Okay, so if you have a public service job, like a police officer or a teacher,
right,
and you work at least 30 hours per week in a public service job, you should qualify for public service loan forgiveness, where you can have your student loan debt forgiven after only 10 years of qualified payments. But it's not automatic. So to qualify for public service loan forgiveness, first you have to consolidate your student loans. Once you have a consolidated student loan that qualifies for public service loan forgiveness, there's more to it. You then need to get on an income-based payment plan. Not just any student loan repayment plan. You have to get on an income-based repayment plan, one that qualifies for loan forgiveness. So if you don't get on the right income-based repayment plan, you won't qualify. But it goes beyond that. You could forget to fill out a simple form, and 10 years later, you get rejected for loan forgiveness. Let me give you a common pitfall. There's the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Employment Certification Form. So basically, once you consolidate, you get on the income-driven or income-based repayment plan, one that qualifies for public service loan forgiveness. So that's all good. But then the third step, you need to send this employment certification form to your employer. Your employer needs to sign off on it, and then you send that form to Fed Loan Servicing. Fed Loan Servicing is the servicing company that services the public service loan forgiveness. So every year for the next 10 years, you need to have that employment certification form signed by your employer.
Okay.
Incentive.
Okay. Okay. Got
If
it.
you forget to do that, that's a common pitfall that people fall into. Okay, they need to verify that employment every year.
Got it. And if you're rejected, are you able to repeat this process? Is there a way that you can go and correct a piece of it that you missed? How does that work?
Okay, for the 99% of people that were rejected, yeah, they actually opened up here. Let me tell you, we can provide the script for students to use, but basically you just need to contact FedLoan at there's a particular email address. It's T like Tom, E like Edward, P like Paul, S like Sam, L like Larry, F like Frank at myfedloan.org, and request that the education department reconsider your eligibility for public service loan forgiveness. Okay. So that's basically all you need to do. We can provide the script and the information and the email address in the description below. But yeah, you can email FedLoan because they're in charge of it.
That sounds like an amazing idea. Let's drop all that stuff in the description below for people. We'll have it all set. Okay, Paul, so let's say I'm behind on federal student loan payments. How can I avoid getting my wages garnished? How do I get rid of default marks on my credit?
Okay, so if you're behind, you've got a big balance and you can't afford to pay it, what you need to do right away is you need to get 90 days forbearance. You just contact your student loan servicers, let them know you're having a financial hardship and you need 90 days forbearance. What that's going to do is that's going to eliminate the balance so you don't have to pay anything and the balance is going to be zero. Now keep in mind, that balance will just get capitalized. It'll get put onto the back of the loan, okay? So it doesn't disappear. So you don't want to request too long a forbearance, but 90 days is enough time so that we can consolidate, get the loans paid off, get you on an income-based repayment plan. Your payment can be as close to $0 per month. I mean, your payment can be $0 per month.
Really?
We helped hundreds of students consolidate and get on a $0 per month payment at Golden Financial Services. So it's very common. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, you want to do the 90 days forbearance. Then that's going to put the balance to zero, give you enough time to consolidate, get on an income-based repayment plan, and then if you have a public service job, you also need to submit the employment certification form. But if you don't have a public service job, that's just one less thing that you have to do. So you will still be able to get loan forgiveness, just not in 10 years. Okay, for everyone that doesn't have a public service loan forgiveness job, for everyone that doesn't have a public service job, they get their debt forgiven after 20 to 25 years. So either 20 or 25 years. But if you get your payment down to $0 per month, for 20 years, if you can keep it at $0 per month, you could have 90% of your debt forgiven in the end. So when I say that when you do forbearance and you get the balance capitalized to the back of the loan,
right,
technically speaking, if you end up getting your debt forgiven, you won't end up paying it anyways. So that's good. And what was your other question again?
We can take a break for a second right now. Was there another one? How to get rid of default marks on your credit report.
We can do that.
I'll lead you in for that one. Okay?
Okay.
That all sounds amazing, Paul. I can't believe this information isn't out there somewhere. It just seems like, just finding information and getting started is probably the hardest part of this. But speaking of which, what if you have default marks on your credit report from delinquent federal student loans? Is there a way to remove those? How long do those stay on your account?
Yeah, so there is a way to remove the default marks. So if you just consolidate, you'll get the existing student loans paid in full, but the late marks will still be there.
Okay.
You want to get rid of the default marks. What you have to do before you consolidate, if you're behind and you have late marks, you have to contact the collection agency directly. You simply let them know, I need to get on a loan rehabilitation program. They will know exactly what that is. They're going to ask you questions about your income and your family size. When they say family size, your neighbor could be with you. If you're paying more than half their expenses, you can include them in your family size. The more people in your family size and the lower your income, the lower your payment will be. So you want to be able to show the lowest possible income If your income appears lower on your most recently filed tax return, base it on that.
Okay.
If your last 30 days of pay stubs are really low, base it on that. The lower the better. And then the bigger the family size, the lower your payment will be. So the loan rehabilitation, they're going to give you one low payment. You have to make that payment for 6 to 9 months.
Okay.
Most of the collection agencies will want to see 9 payments. So 9 payments. And again, even on the loan rehab, your payment could be $5 per month. It could be really low. So let's say you get $5 per month payment. You make that for 9 consecutive months, and then you graduate the loan rehab, and they remove the default marks from your credit, and they restore all of your federal benefits. So now you're eligible to do the federal options, like you can consolidate. You're back in good standing again.
Got it. Very
So
cool.
if you're behind, you want to do the loan rehab. Do that before consolidating, and that way you get the default marks off your credit. If you don't care about the default marks on your credit, and you don't want to deal with the 9 payments and all that, you could in some cases just consolidate.
Okay, and we'll drop all those details again in the description below. Okay, Paul, one more thing I wanted to talk with you about today. President Trump has been working on this student loan debt forgiveness deal for quite some time now. Can you tell me a little bit about what it means for people who have student debt loans, or student loan debt rather, and people who are applying, and what he's trying to do?
Yeah, of course. You can't have a video without talking about Donald Trump, right?
Of course, right?
Well, it's actually legitimate. You know, the Trump administration is putting a lot of effort into simplifying the student loan relief process and fixing the problem. Again, the problem is lack of education, because the government and the loan servicers and the Department of Education, they did a horrible job in providing students the instruction and the education that they need so that they can do all this stuff. You could call Navient or any one of the loan servicers, and half the time, even though they're servicing your student loans, they don't even know how it works. So it's crazy. So what Trump is doing right now is working on making it so that everyone can get their student loan debt forgiven after only 15 years.
15 years.
Instead of 25 years for normal students, or 20 years for some students on certain plans, it's going to be 15 years for everyone.
Okay.
And, you know, that could actually hurt the public service, people with public service jobs, because they get it in 10 years. But that's what's going on. The new legislation is working on making it so everyone can get the debt forgiveness in only 15 years, and they're working on just making it easier to get approved for the debt forgiveness. So they're working on making everything just easier. That's the goal. And they are working on this.
Excellent. Hey, Paul, it was great to hear from you again, man. I really appreciate you dropping some knowledge for us.
Excellent. Thank you. It was great speaking with you again.
Hey, give us a shout out real quick to where we can find your information if we need to get a hold of you.
Yeah, if you need help with credit card debt or any type of unsecured debt, right now we have the best programs in the nation at goldenfs.org, and our counselors can provide you a free consultation at 866-376-9846, and at least show you what your options are.
All right, excellent. Hey guys, appreciate you joining us today. Keep it right here for another edition coming up soon.